A cup of tea with Geo Gonzo, or a cup of coffee in Gonzo's case.
Strong.
It's Sunday morning, we're in the Moxie. We'll be staying here quite a bit this season because we've got a deal for anyone that follows Hammers Chat whatsoever. You want to hotel to stay, it's 2 minutes from Westfield. This is the right hotel. The link is in the description. Check out yourself. You can get 15% off. Use our code LPR. Click that, you have a corporate discount code. Once you do that, put in the code LPR. Bish Bash Bosh, 15% off, and you can come to 24/7 bar as well. That's
and free tea and coffee, which is always useful the next day.
It's going handy. Gonzo, it's the morning after the day before. We're bottom of the league, 4 losses out of 4. Not the start we expected. I don't think we were expecting to be top of the league at this point, were we? But I think it's hard to put into words, isn't it? It's disappointing, but at the same time, it feels like nothing's changed. We've gone through a summer. I mean, only West Ham could spend £100 million and lose their first league games.
Yeah, and not address the midfield issues, it seems. Yeah, I mean, we knew the running. We knew what the running was going to be like, and we knew that it was a tough start to the season, and I don't think anybody expected a ton of points, for sure. So, but I think the situation we find ourselves in is not just with no points. We find ourselves in a situation with actually no points and almost no sign that we're improving. So I think there were positives you could take from the Arsenal game, certainly. We came for the Bournemouth game, and when we were here, we said, what are the positives? What positives can you take from it? And I said, actually, there's very little. I'm struggling to find anything to be positive about. The Arsenal game was not like that. The Arsenal game, again, you had a few positives, and I thought you could have made a good case for if things had gone slightly differently. We might have got a draw or possibly even won that game. I think you could make a case for that. I think it's very hard to make a case for us winning that game against Wolves. The best team didn't lose yesterday.
I was bored. I was so bored watching that game. That first half, I could have fell asleep. If I had sat there, I think I could have nodded off during that first half. It was just so boring. It was so pedestrian, and I like the fact that we're keeping possession now. I like the fact that we've got a possession-based style, but it's a bit too possession-based. There's just no pace. There's nothing about it. There's no oomph, is there? Do you know what I mean? There's no intent to get forward and score. It's disappointing. I expected more from Pellegrini. I know it's only 4 games in, but I expected more. So it's almost like we're waiting to see what he's trying to do, and sometimes you can kind of see it, but like yesterday, I don't get it. If that's what he's trying to do, like, what is he trying to do? If you look at that game when it's sold, what is he actually trying to get us to do? How is he trying to get us to play? Because it's when he took on Yarmolenko, a player I'm really excited by, and puts him in the middle of the pitch, and like, I didn't get it. I was very confused watching it. I was like, what's he trying to do here? I didn't understand. There's just more questions than answers out of yesterday's game. It's almost like we spent all summer making this armour. There's already chinks in it, and it's 4 games in.
But it's hard to, well, not that you should really be pointing a finger, but it's hard to know which area to be worried about or annoyed at. Or you can't blame the owners this time. You know, they got a manager, and they got a manager with good pedigree and a good international reputation, not just national. He's known all over the world, and they supplied him with everything he asked for, which is obviously he came in and he said, whatever, I want 8, 9, 10 million a year, whatever he's on, and I want £100 million war chest. Not only did they give him that, they didn't really sell loads of players from underneath him either. It's not
even when they thought Anderson was overpriced, they still went and paid it because Pellegrini wanted him. Even when they thought this is too much for Anderson, they still shut their eyes, put a in, buried it, still will just pay the 40 million, get him the player he wants. And
so we don't. It's almost like we don't have a focal point of our concern where we can pinpoint anything.
I think there's confusion with the manager. Well, there's confusion, maybe not anger, but there's confusion.
Well, we don't know. It's too early to start criticising him. And as I said in the review, he's not going anywhere. We're not a rich club. We found that money from somewhere. It might have been last season's money or the season before, and so on and so forth. We found that money from somewhere. We're certainly not a club that, for instance, Man United will ditch Mourinho soon. That much is clear. His payoff is going to be about 40 million or something like that. They can afford to pay it. So this season they bought Fred, and they've think, okay, we're not going to buy any more. I think they were saving a chunk there, so as when they bring a new manager in, they can pay off Mourinho and then they can go and spend 100, 200 million on new players again. But I do think we're not in that position. We cannot afford the 30 million to go and pay off Pellegrini. So we've got him and we need him to work out and we need it to work out, but it is hard to look at that and, as you say, to think what is his cohesive strategy. He's obviously bought Anderson and that was his main pick, but he's picked him for a reason. But what is he? What are we getting? From what I've seen, the best he played was from a central position. He's not really beating anybody with tricks, so he runs into space, drives into space and provides passes. He's not like Traore did yesterday. He's not skipping past people, and he's not as quick as him, for instance. So what's he doing with him? You mentioned Yarmolenko. What's he doing with Yarmolenko? He wants to play a possession-based system, yet he's got people like Antonio and Snodgrass in the team who are full of work ethic, if you like, and work hard, but that team that we saw, despite having 100 million spent on it, does not smack of technical ability.
No, we're still playing last January's panic buy in our team, despite spending 100 million of it. But the thing is, I think he fits what Pellegrini wants to do with the ball. He's good at retaining possession. He is good with the ball at his feet. The problem is, he's slow. He's not fast, and so when we do get forward, he's usually 5 yards behind because it's not his fault. He's doing his best to get up there. He's just not quick enough. So you've either got to leave him in the final third, so he's always up with play, or you let him come back and work hard and defend, which he does. But the problem is, when you get the ball and go to counter attack, he's not quick enough to do it. So on one side of the pitch, this is where I got confused with the Antonio Snodgrass thing. One side, you've got a slow guy who's fantastic with the ball at his feet. The other guy, on the other side of the pitch, you've got this really fast guy who's not very good with the ball at his feet. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't work in tangent. There's no cohesion between the two. I was expecting Fredericks and Creswell get forward more than they did yesterday. A couple of times Fredericks did get forward, or Creswell. They were getting the ball in the box. But the problem is, at one point we had Snodgrass on the left and Antonio on the right. When the fullbacks go forward, those wingers are in the way because they also want to go down the wing. They don't cut in. That's why when you have Yarmolenko on the right, who's left foot, he does come inside and creates that space. That's why, I know it was against Wimbledon, that's why I worked with Zabaleta. Yarmolenko coming in, all that space opened up and Zabaleta went down the side.
Yeah.
But yesterday, whenever Fredericks went forward, Antonio standing in his space. You see them doing... They get to the point where they're actually beside each other, doing 5-yard passes between each other, looking up, then it goes back to the centre midfield because there's nobody... They're in the way of each other. But I thought Pellegrini would bring us attacking football. He's not brought us that. He's brought us possession-based football. Yeah. Unfortunately, I missed the Arsenal game. I've seen the extended highlights and that's it. But the 3 games I have seen...
Well, he's not coming... And somebody mentioned something about it yesterday. I can't remember. So apologies there. But Leeds have got Bielsa in. And they've immediately got this identity about them. And Mike went on about philosophy last season, and it's immediately there. And it's swashbuckling, and it's attacking. And you just left wondering, well, what is ours? Well, as you say, it might be left to right, tippy-tappy, it might be a bit of that, but yeah, where's the cut and thrust? Where's the dynamism? Because I looked, and believe it or not, I've probably watched more championship games, and 2 of them are Leeds this season than I did all of last season. And they look like they're really, really going for it. And they had an identity about them. And clearly, he can't... Here's the point. He can't say, OK, everything is going right now. Now he's going to need to change things. Because it's not beyond the realms of possibility that we don't beat Everton. And then it's Chelsea, who look really good. I came back here last night to edit the vlog. Went upstairs, watched Match of the Day. So I'm up to date on all the games. Chelsea look good. Lonzo's going forward as much as he wants. Hazard's, more integrated in the team. Also, and Conte, Pedro's, sort of involved and all that. So it's going to be very, very hard. Everton are buzzing under Silva, who has come in there and again stamped his authority on the game and his style of play. Not only that, not only has he brought new players in, he's got the old ones like Walcott firing on all cylinders, sort of thing. So it's not beyond the realms of possibility that we don't beat those teams.
What he's done is he went and got 50 million with Charlison, brought him in. But Charlison, I know he missed yesterday's game suspended, but he came in on fire like that. Our £40 million man ain't done that yet. This is the difference. This is the difference between the two of them. One's gone and got the man who spot me and he goes, I'm going to build my team around you. I know what I want from you. I know how to get out of you. He's done it. He's made Richarlison the focal point. He was reaping the rewards for it. They drew against Huddersfield yesterday with no Richarlison. Was that a coincidence? I don't know. I've not watched the game, but I would say I think not. No £50 million man. They struggle. With us, we took out our £40 million man. I don't think we'd struggle. I don't think there'd be a difference. Yeah. And that's bad on the fact that we didn't miss our £40 million man. He should be at the centre of everything we do. He should be the first player on the team sheet. He's 40 million. We're West Ham, he's 40 million. And that's the difference between the two record signings, if you like. And that's what concerns me a bit. Because I missed that Arsenal game, I've yet to see anything from Anderson that makes me think, oh wow, he's a good player. Yesterday I didn't see anything from him at all. There was 10 players on the pitch better than him. 6 of them were probably wearing a Wolves shirt. But you talk about identity, they had one yesterday. You could see what they were trying to do. Get on the wings, go down as far as you can, and switch it to the other wing and go down as far as you can. They did it for 90 minutes continuously. We didn't have one. It was like, I don't know, it's worrying in a way. I expected more from Pellegrini. I know it's only 4 games, and I'm not calling for him to be sacked for that. I just thought we'd have had more encouragement by now, a little bit more belief. We started this season with so much optimism, and it's been sucked out of us a little bit by game 4. The optimism's already been...
Well, it's like that, and the trouble is, because we do what we do and we do stuff on camera and all the rest of it, people are expecting, I don't know, a balanced view or whatever. So I thought we were going to lose yesterday, for instance.
Well, I thought we'd win.
And I said before, and I got a bit of stick for it, for saying I don't think we're going to win today. And it's not about me. I would prefer to have been wrong, obviously, but it's almost like we've got to have this balanced thing. So, after the Bournemouth game, I was thinking, okay, that's not great. And then people are saying, just calm down, let's wait and see. But you wait and see for so long. And the thing that was being said, after yesterday we did lose, I think it was being said to me yesterday was, hold on a second, don't forget that Crystal Palace lost 7 games last season before anything happened. And I said this much on the vlog, that's really clutching at straws. That is grasping the air.
That's a relegation
for any bit of hope you can get. And all right, so great. Okay, Crystal Palace may have managed to do that. That is so tenuous, and it's so desperate to grab it. I would actually think that if we did go up to Everton and lose, then the owners are probably going to be thinking, what's going on here? And they would probably be well within their rights to say to Pellegrini, look, mate, we've given you everything you want. What's the next step? Because clearly what you're doing is not working. As any boss would to any employee, they'd have to say, what you're doing is not working. What's the next step? Where are we going from here? How can we help? As you say, it's not a case of sacking, but are we going to continue to play this style of football? How are you going to shake it up? Are you looking at one of you?
Can't ask him to play away he doesn't believe in, or play away he's not comfortable with, because that would just be stupid. It was like when we had Allardyce and we were all demanding attacking football. We can't demand that of Allardyce. We knew what Allardyce brings. We'd have to put up with it. It's like Pellegrini. We know what Pellegrini brings. He's been backed, and the thing is, come January, if we're somehow struggling still, I bet you we don't have any money at all to go back him again. It's gone. The chest is dried up. But the thing is, I thought we'd win yesterday because we have the players, and I still believe we have the players. I think we have a good squad. The system is not working for the players, for whatever he's trying to do. I think the set-up, the formation's right. It's just a style of play. I don't think the fullbacks are getting far enough forward. I think Wilshere is been one of the most disappointing buys of this summer, and he's free. How can we make a free signing look expensive? Because we've somehow managed it with Jack Wilshere so far. We've brought him in thinking he's a West Ham fan, blah, blah, blah. Tell you what, he doesn't look like a West Ham fan to me. The shift he's been putting in so far, 4 games in. I'd expect to go get Bob from Canning Town out the crowd, and he would put in a better shift than Jack Wilshere in the middle of that pitch.
He's actually quite a good player,
I've not seen anything from him so far. He's been the most disappointing player for me this season so far. I've not seen anything from him. I think he's restricting us a lot. He's the one that should be linking the back to the front, what I thought we'd been missing for the last 2 years. Centre of the pitch, we've been missing someone doing the whole linking thing. Noble gets criticism for only going sideways and that. We've gone from a 60 grand a week Martin Noble to 100 grand a week Jack Wilshere to do the same thing, but he does it with he doesn't do the Parker turn, he does his own different one instead.
No, I'm surprised. That was my tip. I thought him and Fredericks were my tip to do well this season.
He's been poor. 100 grand a week has been... it's only a matter of time before he gets injured again as well. So I was hoping he would be like in the first 11 like that. He would almost be like showing the person next to him up a little bit. I thought Noble would struggle next to him. I thought he'd be the first name on the team sheet. If we were playing Everton next week, I don't think I'd have Jack Wilshere in my 11. I said, nah, he's done nothing to warrant that place.
No. You'd have to sort of rotate it a bit, because he needs to look for answers now. When I saw Fulham play, and I probably watched more Premier League. I think because we're doing a fantasy football league, I've got my eye on other games a little bit more, and I watched that Seri for Fulham, who we were linked with. We were linked with him, and the more I look at him, he is athletic, he is skillful, he beats players in the middle of the park, and there's an energy. I think that would be the word I would choose. There's an energy about him which we just don't have. And then you start looking around at other people's midfields and you realise actually there is something missing from us, and it's something that I do think Lanzini used to give us, because whilst Lanzini was technically good, actually Lanzini, for a skillful sort of number 10 type player, actually worked quite hard as well, and he's fast. A lot of people tend not to talk about Lanzini's speed because he's technically good, but actually he's quite fast, particularly in the middle of the park, and he would bring that dynamism. I'm not saying he's the same player as Seri, because Seri would be deeper, but the fact that we were in for him and didn't get him, I just think that has left a hole. In many respects, that may well have. I think maybe we were looking for him, and then we decided actually we can get a midfielder for free in Jack Wilshere, and then spend some money elsewhere.
Pellegrini has decided not to go for him. It's things like this that will go against Pellegrini in the long run. It happened with Moyes, it happened with Bilic. We always do it at West Ham. Every football fan does it with their own club, don't they? Go hang on, we turn down him for him. Yeah. Look how well he's doing, and look how well our one's doing. It's not very good.
Well, Traore. Yeah, Traore's a case in point yesterday.
Yeah, that's true. And we've got the 40 million Anderson, who's not doing very much at all, is he?
No. He's going to need to pull his socks up, and this is going to be a test of his character now, because we can see he has some sort of qualities there, but now it's about character bringing him out, because actually he's turned up at his new job and he's done rubbish. As our record signing, he's done a poor shift. And so now we're going to find out how mentally strong he is he? And this is where you talk about players like Declan Rice, and we've talked about Rice's mental attitude and the fact that he's mature beyond his years. You look at what happened with Declan Rice last year when he made the mistake against Newcastle. He puffed up his chest and he went, right, that's it, I'm having none of that, I'm coming back, and I'm coming back stronger. That's the sort of thing we're going to need from Anderson. Anderson now needs to have some personal pride. Right, actually, no, I'm going to show you why I should be in the Brazilian team. Yeah. And that's what he needs to step up and do.
Well, a lot to talk about. Anything else you want to talk about with the football performance before we move on to other subjects and stuff?
No, I don't know. Who knows? It's so encompassing, and you get so, particularly because we're still here as well. As the orbital there, it's almost you need some breathing space, and it is the night after the morning after, so to speak, but. Still feels quite depressing, and
it is.
The anger's gone, but you're worried.
The thing that makes me sad most, though, is just the fact that I was bored. Everybody turned up yesterday. They thought the crowd was in good voice before the game. Everybody just thought, right, you know what? We'll put the first 2 games. The season starts here. But how long am I going to keep saying that for? The season starts here. Game 4 was just saying the season starts here, but there was a feeling of that about it. There was a feeling that the fans were thinking, you know what? The first 3, forget it. Hopefully we get the win today and push on and everything's looking rosy. I was just bored. I was so bored in that first half. It's just...
But I think the thing is, because it was so late in the game, it was an injury time winner. People that will grasp at that and say, they got lucky, or do you know what I mean? It wasn't. That wasn't unjust.
They got what they deserved. I've watched Match of the Day, as have you, and Creswell tried to trip him. This is what frustrates me. You've seen it there. Traore and Creswell are level, and Creswell sticks out his foot, and he doesn't even manage to foul him. Foul him. There's 101 ways you can foul someone. He chooses the 102nd way, which is the one that doesn't work. The way it goes, I don't blame Creswell for not keeping up for him. He got a bit of stick on Match of the Day because when he scored Traore 6 yards, I don't blame him. Creswell's been on the pitch for 92 minutes. Traore's been on for 10, and Traore's one of the fastest players in the league anyway. Even if it was in the first minute, I just still expect Traore to win over a sprint race. But Creswell should be grabbing his shirt, he should be booting him into the rosette, he should be rugby tackling, whatever. You're going to get booked for it. When you trip him up like that, or you literally just push him over, you're getting a booking. Just make sure you stop him, but he doesn't. And It's just so frustrating. It's just people call it game management, don't they? That's just poor game management from. Well, actually, he's done the right thing. He knows he needs to foul him, but he somehow doesn't manage it. And you just think, you're going to do it, do it right. Nobody at the time. Do you know if he did something extreme and got a red card? Let's say he did just literally just boot him, and the linesman was like, "Hang on, this is an off the ball incident. This is not a going for the ball. This is a red card." At the time in the game, we'd all sit there and go, "What are you doing, Chris? Well, you're stupid." As soon as we watch it back, we think actually he's done the right thing here. We can see what he's doing. We've got Masuaku to come in. He's going to miss one game or three if they decide it's violent conduct. It's fine, but it's just there's so many problems. If you look at that game over 90 minutes, there's so many issues, and that's the worrying thing. There's so many areas of the pitch you can say that's not working. The only area of the pitch I think is working is our centre backs. The fact is, we're bottom of the league, and our centre backs are the ones coming out with praise.
Yeah, it is worry, and I mean, obviously this is a cup of tea and not just a review. And so the other thing that's worrying me surrounding the club, it's almost like a bit of a clubbing crisis, is the stadium situation as well. And I just think, coupled with the fact that we are at war with the stadium operators, with the mayor himself, the fact that you can't laugh at the fact that the stadium that we're renting is losing £20 million a year. If we think that is not going to have implications for us, then we're naive. Now, of course, if we're riding high and happy with the Premier League, then maybe we become an attractive proposition for investment to come in. So they might think, offer whatever, the mayor's office, a chunk of money for the stadium, and it becomes, profitable to do so. If we're down in the Championship, then those investors coming in are not so much, and then we are actually just become a Championship club renting a stadium is making 20 million losses. And yes, it's got to be propped up by the taxpayer, but that can't continue indefinitely. So I do think we need the team to be performing well, because it would not take much for us to be a crisis club. Perhaps a knife edge is pushing but it would not take much.
You've just named the next two fixtures after the international break, lose them, and then we are becoming crisis. That Palace losing 7 and getting out of it was a one-off. That was a special thing. And
Zaha was brilliant. For all us, we like to take the mickey out of Zaha, but he's brilliant.
He turned into an £80 million player at the end of last season easily, and we don't, on average, can do that. But the problem is he's not doing it just now, is he? He's doing his best he can, but the problem is the 10 people behind him aren't necessarily helping him out. But there was that stadium, since we did the last cup of tea, we spoke about how Brady put up that letter criticising them for the carpet colour. The very next day they did the same thing again to do with the honours board. It's still, I noticed yesterday, it's still not been changed back, because they're saying that we owe them money for the maintenance of the giant screen. But that's the second open letter, as she calls them, she's put up on the official site. Do you agree with the way she's going about this? Because I think the first one was quite a clever move because she couldn't lose, but I think the second one, I think it's now just getting dirty laundry in public type thing. It's getting a little bit embarrassing. I
think the whole thing is embarrassing. I think it's embarrassing for both sides. I think there's quite a lot to play out here. But my mum used to say to me, "Pick your battles." You know what I mean? But she meant it, arguing with your siblings and stuff like that. If you argue over everything, you argue over every piece of Lego and every little thing, and blah, 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 then actually when you do have an argument, it sort of dilutes it. And I just wonder if they're picking their small battles which are being played out in public. Actually, the big battle, the big war, is yet to happen, and we all know what is at stake there. It is the stadium itself that is at stake. So they're arguing over carpets and they're arguing over billboards, and I do think it was petty for the stadium to do that. That would have taken a lot of effort to take down. I guess they took it down for the Athletics, but it wouldn't have taken much. They've obviously got the infrastructure there to put it back up, but it was very much a conscious decision for them to say, no, actually, we're not going to put that up. It was petty, and it was the honours board of all the cups we've won, and so on and so forth. And it made it a little bit less West Ham. And of course, then the carpet not being claret, which I don't really care about a claret carpet, but it's still, they want to do it because they want to West Hamify the stadium. That's another thing. Saying actually no, and then there's a little sign up in the stadium and it says, "This is the London Stadium, this is for everyone." Make no mistake about it, that is a shot across the bows of West Ham. That is not some clever marketing thing to make it more appealing to the taxpayer. That is a message emblazoned, festooned around the stadium, saying this is not your stadium. So there is that war being played out, and then on top of that, you've got the fact that Mayor Khan, who is a Labour candidate, and you've got Baroness Brady, who of course is a Tory. She's not a candidate, but she's got her eyes set on the mayor's office, right? So the two opposition parties, they hate each other. They've both got whopping great egos, and they don't like each other. It just makes it almost impossible.
We donated to the Tory fund about 3 years ago. We donated 12 grand or something to the Tory fund as West Ham United. It wasn't out of Brady's purse. It was out of the West Ham United Football Club's own accounts. So it's just embarrassing. I think this whole putting the public letters up on the. She says it's so that the fans know what's going on. Bollocks. They've been letting fans know what's going on with the club for the whole time they've been here through their unofficial sources.
Yeah.
If we can't get a player, they'll contact a certain website or something, go put it out why we never got this player.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
They have these ways of letting fans know without doing it on the official website. So the fact that she's done it that way means she wants drama, she wants all this PR, she wants all these newspapers to pick it up and run with this story. But I don't see what she's trying to gain from it. It's not the stadium. It's quite clear the stadium owners or whatever are not going to go, oh damn, because of that thing we're going to have to do it now. They're going to do the complete opposite. They're going to say, oh, that's how you want to play it. Fine, okay, that's your bullet. Let's get our gun loaded up and we're going to fire something back at you. The next thing is we're going to turn up there next week and something else is going to be brought down. They're going to go, no, you're not getting it.
Well, also you've got to remember there's a sort of bit of an unprecedented crime wave going on in London at the moment. Crossrail has just been delayed by a year. So there's actually quite big stuff. So all these little subliminal messages from Brady are probably not reaching Khan at the moment. I mean, he's under a lot of pressure, because of the way London, for the reasons, and that's just two of them. You've got policing issues, you've got all sorts of issues going on in London. He's got bigger fish to fry than, without being funny, reading out something that Brady has slipped to Claret and Hugh, which might then get picked up by the Sun or whatever. Do you know what I mean? He might not read it. What it does do is it creates conflict with the stadium operator. Eventually, Khan will deal with it, but he'll deal with West Ham because the stadium's losing 20 million a year, and that's actually 20 million he can put towards, whatever, transport, the DLR or whatever, policing, nursing. That's 20 million a year that he doesn't have to. So. But he's not getting involved in carpets and things like that. That stuff's not reaching Khan.
Same, different season, but same embarrassing on and off the pitch. Another couple of things. Declan Rice, you spoke about it briefly, about him sort of not being included in the Republic of Ireland squad because there was this whole debate which country does want to pledge his alliance to, Ireland or England. Where do you sit on this for people that haven't seen your other video?
I just think he's been really, really poorly advised on it. I think I don't know who his agent is, but the trouble, you know, I know we had a professional footballer live with us who was in digs with my parents and so on and so forth. So I've seen the process of a professional footballer. I've seen them get their first agent and then their second agent. You know what I mean? And there's a point in professional footballer where they hope they're going to make it and they get a small agent. When it becomes clear they're going to have a sort of professional career at a high level, they then look to get another agent. And I just wonder with Declan at what point he's come across this guy, because number one, this guy is advising him.
He got it in the summer, didn't he? I'm sure he got
it
in the summer. I'm pretty sure he's got it in the summer to renegotiate with West Ham.
Right, which actually follows the pattern that I've seen myself. And the advice is really, really poor because it's not worldly advice. So anybody, even if you weren't a football agent, your advice would be, well, actually, the Irish are great. That's a proud country to, number one, to represent, but also they take people to their hearts. You've only got to look at how the Irish took Jack Charlton, a Lancastrian, a Yorkshireman, well, sorry, actually he was from Middlesbrough, wasn't he? Sorry, originally, but, an Englishman, Jack Charlton, they took him to their heart, and he was the manager of Northern Ireland, of Republic of Ireland, and he goes over there and they embraced him, and he loved going to Ireland, he loved fishing, and he is, by all intents and purposes, an Irishman. I spent a lot of time in Ireland. They are a proud nation. And to put yourself in a situation where he's told Martin O'Neill, his agents obviously advised him, think carefully, England have contacted him, he should have just made the decision, and then certainly not told Martin O'Neill, I might make a decision, and having a word with Gareth Southgate and all of this sort of stuff. Because, listen, number one, he's not going to walk into the England team. No. Okay, there are some Maguire's young, Stones is young, got Gomez coming through at Liverpool, and others who maybe I've not mentioned. We have talent. Defensive midfield. England needs attacking midfielders and maybe wingers, strikers outside of Kane. You know, that's what England probably need to make the next step up. There's nothing to say that he is going to walk into the England team, and certainly the bigger picture with his contract negotiations, there's nothing to say that he's going to, because I do believe he's been offered sort of 30 grand a week or something from West Ham. There's nothing to say that he's going to walk into Man City's team. So I just wonder if his agent is pitching him a little bit too high, and Declan's strong enough to not have a manipulative agent.
I just think there's a point it's all come out public. The one group, it's a small group in the big picture, but it's a small group. We have a lot of Irish West Ham fans. It must be difficult for them. How can, if he does sort of do the dirty on Ireland, if you like, is it going to affect their support for him in a West Ham shirt? Because at the end of the day, when he played for Ireland last, he was kissing the badge and all that and stuff, and that's almost where it becomes a bit like a traitor. That's where you almost you cross that line a little bit, where I've seen some people criticise, or some people saying Declan Rice should come play for England, but at the same time those people were probably also criticising, and the reason they give it is because it's better for his career. And you know what, it might very well be, you got to the World Cup semi-final, he's probably seen Southgate bringing in youth, thinking, well, hang on a minute, if I'm playing in the Premier League and I'm youth, Southgate might see me as a future. Henderson's getting on a bit, it needs to be replaced in the next couple of years in England setup. Can I be that person to step in there and take his position? Don't know. Adam Lallana's in the current squad, he needs replacing in the next, well, to be fair, he shouldn't be in it anyway, but he needs replacing next year or something. Rice can probably see opportunities in the England squad, thinking I can make this 23. But the problem is that those doing it for the better of your career is all very well fine, but some West Ham fans that are telling him to come play for England probably also had an issue with Defoe leaving West Ham when he got relegated for the better of his career. And it's a bit hypocritical in a way. You can't have it both ways. If you can understand why Rice is doing it, you need to understand why Defoe did it. But you have the problem with Defoe doing it, you need to understand why Ireland fans have a problem with Declan Rice doing it. Because personally, I think, and I hope he just stays with Ireland. I hope he goes on to have tens and tens of caps for him. And I don't know what the record holder is for Ireland. I don't know if he'll beat it. He won't be that far off.
Robbie Keane, I'd imagine.
If he knuckles down, I don't think he'll be that far off in the long run. He'll pick up, I don't know, 80 caps or something over his career playing for Ireland as well. He'll go on a cap for them one day. I'm sure he's good enough and he's got the leadership abilities. And I will be staying with Ireland because it's not a good look. And I'll tell you what, if he can do it to Ireland, he can do it to West Ham United.
Oh, for sure, absolutely, for sure.
And that's especially with this contract issue going on as well. That's what concerns me a little bit. That if you can turn your back on, can we call it his country? Because he's
played from under 16, 17, 18, under 21's full.
If he can turn his back on his country he's represented so far, he could easily do it to a football club he's only been at for 4 years. He's only been here 4 years or something, maybe more than that.
Well, there was also the thing, I don't want to beat up on Declan, but there was also, when we played Wimbledon, he was, very much openly said, well, actually, I'm just around the corner, which is fine, but basically saying I go and support Wimbledon and stuff like that. So obviously there's a nomadic quality to him anyway. So I mean, here's a guy that his contract needs tying down. And I don't think his commitment's in question. I think whether he played for Ireland, West Ham, Wimbledon or England, his commitment would be the same. He puts 100% in. But it's not his commitment in question, it's his loyalty, which is two different things. And that's the worrying thing when you're a West Ham fan. Also, I'm not Irish or English, it doesn't bother me what he does nationality-wise, but he plays for my football club, and it worries me that his contract's up at the end of the season, if I'm right. His contract's up this summer. Who?
Rice is his contract.
West Ham?
Yeah, but do not have an extra. I think we might have an option to extend it for a year or something. Sure. But this is why there's a problem about getting Rice tied down. I think I'm pretty sure his contract's not got long to run on it. But if he was to leave, we'd go to the tribunal because he's so young and stuff. So he can't just walk out for free. He would be able to claim tens of millions off whoever picks him up. But it's not a good sign that he can just turn his back on his country. And I think, well, if you're going to do that for your country, you'll do it to West Ham if you want to. And that's the bit that I'm picking up from this that worries me. But I hope he stays for Ireland. His other teammate that he played with at under-23s, Cullen, went to Charlton on loan. His contract's up in the summer. Do you think that's the last we've seen of him at West Ham?
Yeah, I do. Yes, yeah, I think that's it. As I said, I think not only Cullen, I think there was a quite a significant thing happened with Noble yesterday when Wilshere came off and Noble didn't come on. And then, of course, you got the other one, Queener has joined.
Did you see his goal?
I did see his goal. From sort of central midfield-ish position. Looked very dynamic, didn't he? Running past players, skipping past players, banging the ball in. Oh, my goodness, what are we doing, Yeah, it's and there's no secret on that, because he's had really his last 2 international championships have been really good. That wasn't out of form for him. That was him in form. He's just not. I just feel it's a real shame with someone that talented that we didn't identify him, and particularly looking at how one paced our midfield is at the moment, we didn't at least say to him, give him a chance. Just give him a chance before we do that.
He's becoming a bit of a, I don't want to say a household name for that age group of players in the Premier League, but he sort of is. People are aware of him, even if you don't support the club he plays for. You sort of know who he is if you're into your football enough. That goal was no surprise. Nobody's seen that goal and went, oh wow, I didn't know he could do that. No. We all knew he had that in his locker. But the Josh Cullen thing, I'm a bit disappointed in. I would like to have seen him give him a chance, but as soon as we brought Sanchez in, I think that sort of shut the door on Josh Cullen getting an opportunity this season and say, no, you're not getting a chance here. We'd rather bring in a 32-year-old rather than give a 23-year-old a chance. It's delayed and inevitable. His contract's up there in the summer. He's away to Charlton until then, unless he literally is the league's player of the year. He's not getting a new contract at West Ham United.
I hope he does well.
So do I, but I suppose it's one of those, in a year's time, he'll probably still be in the Championship, and we're all going to turn around and go, well, that's obviously his level. But I just get frustrated because I think actually they're good enough for the Premier League, but you need to bed them in at 18, 19. If they don't get a chance, almost like a natural thing, they sort of don't become good enough for the Premier League. I think they need to be playing football, and it's just another example of Premier League football is closed for younger players. We talk about Rice, but apart from him, I'll be surprised if any teenagers play for us this year in the Premier League. And I include Holland in that. I don't think we'll see him in the Premier League. We'll see him in the Cups. I don't think we'll see him in the Premier League unless there's a massive injury crisis or something.
The squad is immense, really, isn't it?
So we won't see any teenagers. Rice is the only teenager we'll see. It's as simple as that. So that's Josh Cullen gone. Snodgrass turned down a call up to my country, Scotland, for we've got a UEFA League of Nations, I think it's called now, where it's basically glorified friendlies. Snodgrass turned it down, said he'd rather stay at West Ham and work hard because he's back in the fold, doesn't want to lose it. And McLeish said, I understand completely. Off he goes. Is that a good sign? Snodgrass, or
I think good attitude, but there's no surprise. I think he has got a good attitude. I think he does work hard, and the fact that he wants to work a little bit harder is no surprise at all. And I think he has redeemed himself. And if ever there was an example of a loan working, then that was it at Aston Villa. It really worked out well for him. He's come back with a good season under his belt, playoff final and all the rest of it, and he's put in a good stint, and he's impressed Pellegrini. You would have thought he was going out the door. You would have thought Antonio was out the door. But clearly both of them have impressed Pellegrini, and he wants to keep them on. As for the international thing, I don't know. I know McLeish has obviously taken over from Strachan. I don't know how that would affect his international career. I don't even know if he was he starting for Scotland?
Yeah, but it won't affect him because we don't have enough good players.
So he can take it. Right, fair enough.
But to be fair, he's done it the right way. He spoke to the manager, said, look, I'd rather stay here and work hard. And the managers have said, yeah, that's fine, you do that. There was someone else that had done it as well, I can't remember who it was. He's not the only one that's spoke to McLeish and said, I'd rather not get called up because of my club. And McLeish, perfectly fine. But the problem is, though, this is what concerns me. I still don't think he's good enough, Gonzo. I've got no question about his work rate, no question about his commitment. I have a lot of admiration the way he's gone to Villa. He did well there, he's come back, and in pre-season you could see he was fighting for his place in the team. I think he deserves his spot in the team. I just don't think he's good enough. I've yet to see something. I know he's man of the match against Wimbledon, but the problem is it's Wimbledon, and it's going to take up more than a man of the match against Wimbledon to make me think actually this guy has got a place in our team. But the difference between Yarmolenko and Snodgrass is massive, in my opinion. It's huge. And the fact that Snodgrass is the one impressing Pellegrini causes me a bit of concern. Is it the people that give 100% the ones that get in the team? Is that the right way? Maybe it is, but I was at that Marlon Harewood event yesterday. He's at Carlos Tevez, the worst trainer he's ever seen. But the problem is, the good thing is, he turned up on a Saturday, turned it on like that, and I was like, didn't rubbish at training, but he could turn it on. We hear about that from foreign players a lot. We hear that they're crap trainers, but on a Saturday they can produce it when it matters and stuff. But you'd almost prefer players like that in your team. You give 100% training, which is fine, but I just don't think Snodgrass has got what it takes. I've yet to see something from him that makes me think, yeah, he's a top 10 Premier League, but I don't think he is. But the problem, this is where I might conflict myself here. He deserves his spot in the team, but that's a criticism for the rest of the players.
It's a worry. It's a worry, actually.
But he's sort of half-fixed Pellegrini because he's good with the ball. He's probably one of the best set-piece takers in our team, but he doesn't fit in terms of he's slowing our game down. I'm convinced he's one of the reasons going forward we can't transition from defence to attack because I don't think he's quick enough, and it's no criticism of him, he's just not quick enough. Antonio is, but he's just not good enough. But yeah, he turned down the Scotland thing. I think it's the right thing for him to do. Fair play to him. We've got Macclesfield in the cup, the lowest placed team still left in the competition. Are you happy with that, or are you worried they're going to get embarrassed?
That'd be televised. They'd be licking their lips at that one, wouldn't they, the television companies?
I'll tell you what, I'm delighted that's who we got, because I want us to see us do well in this cup regardless of the league, and every time we get a draw I don't care about the romance. I don't want Millwall at home in the cup. I don't want Blackpool away for a night out. I want the lowest placed team in the cup at home, please. Every single night. I want the easiest route possible. Do you know when some teams get to the final and the pundits are sitting there and go, oh, they only played one Premier League game, Premier League team play. So they don't pick the draw. The draw's random. Well, if you want, let's just assume it's done right. The draw's random. It's no one's fault. I want to get to the final and for them to be like, oh, they've not played a Premier League team to get here. Good. It's about time we had a little bit. I don't care who we play. Well, I want the lowest placed team to give us the best chance getting through every single round. So when we got Macclesfield, I was delighted. I mean, after yesterday, I'm a bit like, oh my God.
No. But we're not going to lose every game this season. Though. At some point, we are going to get better. I think we might have to wait till the 8th or 9th game, but. And hopefully when that does click in and we get a little bit better, then we want to still be in the cups to go for it. I mean, it's funny enough, when you were speaking about Yarmolenko earlier, I was thinking about Yarmolenko, and what Yarmolenko does is, and I mentioned it in the review yesterday, he dinks the ball up high to the back post. He gives it a lot of elevation, but he doesn't need a lot of space to work, Yarmolenko. You could be marking me here, I could be Yarmolenko, and I can still get the crossover and dink it up because he's big enough to hold him up, and he just gets good elevation on there. Funnily enough, and I said about Arnautovic at that back post, what I can actually see, our team is not formed yet. I can see eventually Pellegrini saying this is not working, Andy Carroll coming back, and actually playing Yarmolenko.
I thought you were saying Antonio at the back post, because that's how he looked good for us. Yes. Payet kept just putting all his head at the back stick every game, and if you could have Antonio on the left wing and Yarmolenko on the right, it could work, but he's got to try something. He's got to be looking for these partnerships that is effective. It might not always be pretty, but it's effective, because right now we don't have pretty and we don't have effective either, so we might as well have one. But we put out on Twitter not half an hour ago saying that we're doing an impromptu cup of tea. Any questions? We've got a handful. So thanks to those that sent them in. So you ready to go through?
Yes, please.
Canning Town Len says, have we become an attractive team for mercenaries? 3 different managers, but loads of signings, making little effort. To be fair, I can only think of one signing that's not making an effort, and that's Wiltshire. I actually think the rest of them are making an effort. Whether you're right, but there is a mercenary feel about it. Actually, that you look at. I look at the other thing. I look at Grealish playing for Villa. That was an opportunity missed. Then you look at that Mora running around for Tottenham. You think, that was an opportunity missed there. Not that maybe we couldn't have got him. People would laugh. West Ham signed a player from PSG, but we have just gone and spent 40 million quid on somebody. I don't doubt the wages, because Tottenham don't pay massive wages. I doubt the wages are that different. And I look at these dynamic players, and you think they're players with a point to prove. Traore at Wolves as well. Having said that, they got a journeyman. Moutinho is a journeyman, but he was coming into a system that's already established with a lot of his compatriots, a lot of Portuguese at that club. It's a ramshackle thing. There's one particular post sort of haunts me on the forum, if you like, which I look at, and it was at the start, and he said, Yarmolenko's legs are gone. Anderson's too lightweight for the Premier League. Wilshire's finished, and it went on like that. I can't remember all of them. You look at it now, and whilst it might have been harsh before the season started, by the way, but that's it. He said Diop might be this year's Mangala, for where they're thinking, and you just look at all of that, and you do wonder if it won. I don't think Diop's out at all. I don't think the whole post was right, but I think there were nuggets of truth in it, and I just
So I don't think Diop's one of those mercenaries. I think he's still got a point to prove, but I don't think there's enough. We haven't bought enough people like that. And the biggest worry in signing, not from a mercenary point of view, but just from is he suited to the Premier League, is Anderson. The big worry is Anderson. And whilst I think I might have got Fredericks wrong, I might have got Wilshere wrong in our Premier League prediction, I did think that before the season started, Anderson was going to struggle.
Yeah, Wilshere's one's disappointed me. I think he almost thinks he's done us a favour by coming here a little bit. I get that. It was just yesterday watching him and Neves, and so one of the users superb. It's not our player here. I just thought we're not getting return on our value for Wilshere. I think some of our other players, I think Hernandez falls into this category a little bit. I've not seen, he's not justified his wages while being at West Ham. Yeah, we can all sit here and make excuses for Hernandez, and we all do because we want him to succeed, and we like him. We haven't got him, and everyone's excited. We want him to do well. But I'll tell you what, when he is getting chances on the pitch, he's not doing it. Yesterday, he brought nothing to that game. Nothing at all. Well, he did one good pass, but he gave it to Hernandez's feet, who ran and did the rest. That was it. He did a quick one too. But when he comes on, I don't know, do you do this when Hernandez is coming on? Do you think, oh, brilliant, here we go, Hernandez? Tell you what, I get more of a feeling like that with Andy Carroll coming on than I do Hernandez, and that's not a good thing for Hernandez.
Yeah, I think this season it feels different with Hernandez for some reason. Last season I did. I was excited and I wanted to see more of him. I've already seen enough this season, seen him deep enough this season, and I mentioned on one of the videos, whichever it was, I thought he looks like someone that's had a World Cup, you know, and needs a bit more of a rest. Yeah, there's an age thing to our squad, and yes, there are some younger players, but we also we can look a bit tired at the moment when you look at us, and not just the way we're playing. Sometimes you look at the squad looks a bit tired.
Lazy. I don't think it's tired. I think it's just lazy. I think there's some of our, to fit into this category, I think there's some of them maybe become mercenaries while arriving, which is Antonio, Masuaku to an extent. I think they've sort of gone from coming with a point to prove, and they've sort of got comfortable, if you like, and I don't know, but that's that question. Richie says, as I stated before, is it time to stop making excuses that the team need time to gel when Wolves got in 16 new players in the summer transfer market and currently sit in 9th while we're bottom with 0?
Yeah, hello Richie. That's they had a season. They've got a season above us. I've sat here. I think I've said enough things that I'm worried about to not be accused of making excuses for West Ham. But I do think they've had a season in the Championship. You can't discount that just because it was the Championship. It has a season of playing together, and he has sort of eased them in. So, you know, yes, he's brought in Martino, but Martino's playing alongside Neves. So Neves was there last season and was one of the best players in the Championship, and they're both Portuguese, so there's almost method to that. Jota was playing last season, he's still there. Costa, one of those signings was Bolly, but Bolly was on loan there last season, so yes, it's a signing, but he was already there. I think they've made 2 loan signings permanent, so I think it tells a little lie, that stat, if you know what I mean.
Well, the difference is, though, Wolves have probably kept a very similar 11 for their 4 Premier League games this season. We could have named 9 of that starting 11 for Wolves yesterday, and we don't even support Wolves just by looking at the previous 3 games, looking at how they played against City. You think, well, he's not going to change this, is he? We all knew it was going to be Costa on one wing, Jota on another, Neves, Martino in the middle, Raul Jimenez up front. We all knew that, and we don't even support Wolves, but we knew how he was going to set up. Pellegrini's chopping and changing because he still doesn't know his first 11. But if he does know it, it's not working and he can't play it. You spoke about Lanzini earlier. Lanzini got injured quite early on in the summer, the World Cup. He got injured before the World Cup. We knew we were missing Lanzini at that point, and how we replaced him. You could argue Anderson's supposed to replace him, but we needed Anderson anyway, even with fit Lanzini. But it's just continuity. We don't have any of it at the present. And the thing is, you take yesterday's 11. That 11 is not going to be starting at Everton. Martin Noble will be brought back in. Snodgrass and I'd imagine Yarmolenko's going to play for one of those 2. Perez might be saying, well, you know, my turn for a chance now. He might put Zabaleta right back again. What good's this doing? Fabianski had the 3rd. Am I right in saying that was Fabianski's 3rd partnership of the season already in front of him with his centre backs? Have we seen Diop, Balbuena, Ogbonna? Have we seen an Ogbonna Balbuena partnership yet?
Yes.
So that's just 4 Premier League games, 3 different centre-back partnerships. How is that going to help the centre-backs or the keeper? It can't help them. Zabaleta and FedEx have played 2 games each now. FedEx has played 3 and Zabaleta's had 1. Masuaku's had 3 and Crespo's had 1. Our back, I don't think we've had the same back 5 play 2 Premier League games so far. But the Wolves one, same every game, same. It's continue. It's not helping changing it all the time. We need to change stuff, but it's not helping. Sometimes you're just going to have to think, this is my best 11. I'm going to leave it for 4 games and see what they can do. Obviously, if you have to make a change, you have to make a change. But do 1 or 2, not 4 or 5. But because we're making 4 or 5 per game, it's not working. We're changing formation as well. You know, I seen Snodgrass play about 3 different positions yesterday. He only played 45 minutes. He's in 3 different positions. Like, that can't be helping anyone. That must be making it easy for Wolves to mark him. Like, you know, like, if you were a defender, you're up against an opponent and he has to get moved on the other side, that's going to give you a confidence boost. You're like, well, I've done my job here, because he's always getting moved because he's not had a sniff of the ball. They're trying something else. That's not working. They're changing it again. Oh, brilliant. This is easy. I said to you, I watched the review back that we did last night to make sure we weren't too drunk. And I remember saying to you, we didn't even test their defence. Never mind their keeper. We didn't my opinion hasn't changed. Even watching match today and that, we didn't even, their defence cruised through yesterday. Happy Hammer 72. Is it time for the owners to sell up and inject a new way of professionalism to our running of the club, as it seems very blind leading the blind and no enthusiasm?
I think the owners are enthusiastic. I don't think we can accuse them of lacking enthusiasm. Should they sell up? I'm not sure what good it would do. We've played our hand. I mean, this is it, and we've played it at a bad time, because we should have played our hand 3 seasons ago. Because these guys, I can't remember, maybe I was too drunk, I can't remember what video I said it on, but these promoted teams are not mucking around anymore. They're ready. And we're a bit lucky, I've got to say, that Burnley have been in Europe, because they're down there. That there is one team promoted, like Cardiff, and there may be others about, because
Huddersfield,
absolutely. But even teams like Bournemouth, Leicester, Wolves, Fulham, if you watch Fulham on Match of the Day, these teams are not mucking around at all, and we have picked a bad time to get our big spend. This was our one shot. We played our hand. So even if they are not going to be able to sell the club between now and January, and an investor comes in and puts another 150 million in. I think it's I think they either sell when we're very successful, our owners. So let's say it did all click and we finished top 8 this season. I think they might sell then, and they sort of thing up the stadium, or they sell when it's low. We get relegated, we get turfed out of our rented thing, and I think we're at low, and we go into administration. I think it's either feast or famine.
Over a 10-year period, well, 11 years been here now, I'll say, yeah, they should probably think about it. But over the last 6 months, it's a result of business football, and they've scored in the summer. They did their job. They've done their job. It's up to Pellegrini now. So for a short-term thing, I say no, they don't have to sell it, because they're actually 2. I'm not including Brady. Gold and Sullivan can sit there and say, we've done our job in the summer.
Sure.
We've absolutely smashed it. We've got the manager in, we gave him the funds, and we've got his players in. Simple as that. Pellegrini on Thursday got asked, how close are you to playing the way you want to play? He replied, close. That's the man. No gun to his head. No, he didn't have to say that. He could have said, we're a long way off yet. Blah, blah, blah. But he did. He says, close. Now that is close, and I'm a bit worried about that. Roy says, how long do we wait until we hit the panic button regarding Pellegrini? He's not convinced by him one bit.
Well, I don't think there is. I think there's no panic button for the reasons I mentioned earlier about not being able to pay him off.
When do you push the panic button? If we can't sack him, when do you think this is not working? I'm not comfortable with this situation.
You've got, unfortunately, you've got to live with it. I didn't want the manager in the first place.
But you're a football fan, though. You're not the owner of those. You
when do the owners do?
No, when do you panic as a football fan?
I don't think I'll ever panic.
But how long do you think it's maybe the wrong decision? If you
well, I wanted Fonseca. I wanted Silva. I said all this at the start. It's not being wise after the event. Failing that, I thought if you were going to go for an old safe pair of hands, it was Benitez. Might not be exciting. We saw that, but he would ground up those wins. You would get the win away to Man United. You would do that. If you gave Benitez 100 million, he does the job for you. I was never convinced by getting someone that had gone into retirement. In China, you know that I'm not being wise after the event. That's why I said that. But the moment he starts, you have to buy into it, and you have to hope. So you think, okay, well, hopefully this football does it. So it's hard to say when are you going to start thinking Pellegrini's. If it's not panic, then the question is when are you going to start thinking Pellegrini's not the one. You know, I suspected it anyway. What I do is I hope to be wrong. I hope that when he signs Anderson, that Anderson is as good as Payet, and so on. You hope those things happen. It's not happened. When do we start worrying that that things are going very, very bad. Then, as I said, I think after 7 games, if we are sat in this position now and we still have...
it'd be impossible not to, wouldn't it? It would be impossible not to. I was happy with Pellegrini. He wasn't my first choice, but he would have made my top 5 probably. And I was delighted when he come in. I'm actually surprised how poor we are so far, to be honest. I am actually surprised. Over the course of the game, I wasn't surprised we got beat because Wolves offered much more, but I'm surprised how poor we were yesterday. It was just... I'm disappointed by a lot of things as well. A lot of players that we've come in, a lot of players that are still there. But my biggest disappointment in what it is that we didn't spend a lot of money in the centre of the pitch, and everybody knew we needed surgery in that area, and we put a plaster over it. It's always like putting a little band-aid on a broken leg. Well, it might mend. It's not going to mend. You need a proper looking at, and if you don't look at it properly, Sanchez in this case is the plaster, and he'll be all right. It'll stop you bleeding if you've got a little graze, but if you've got a broken leg, it's not going to do anything. We've got a broken leg in the middle of the pitch. It's called Jack Wilshere. But it's just, that was my concern after the window shut. I'm still not seeing anything to say that we as football West Ham fans, and there was this wasn't anything secret. It's not like I'm the only one that said it. Everybody was saying we need a defensive midfielder in here. Everybody was saying it. Did we lose yesterday because we didn't have one? Well, I praised them in the review, but I watched match today and see our defensive midfielder that gave the ball away for the winning goal.
But none of it's secrets. You just said we could have named the Wolves team. That wasn't a secret. Everyone knew that Traore was going to be
the one that comes on
a problem. That was no secret. We did the Bournemouth review. Everyone knew Callum Wilson and Fraser on the wing and how Bournemouth were going to play. None of this is secret squirrel stuff. And you do sort of wonder, well, hold on, why is this not being identified,
Yeah, well, that would be for the question. We've got quite a lot of other questions, but it's all about Wiltshire, team performances, panicking and stuff. So is there anything else you'd like to add before we wrap it up?
No, mate, I think we've got to get trains to different places, my friend.
Yeah, I've got a further way to go, remembering that boring 1-0 win, loss, sorry. But thank you very much for joining us. This is a cup of tea. It's not live, obviously. Normally this is the first one we've done. It's not live.
First cup of tea that's not live, yeah. We almost did one in the coffee shop at West Ham, didn't we? We got told we couldn't.
Not allowed. No, you're going to slack us off. Get out of here. But yeah, thank you for joining us on this episode of Cup of Tea. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Leave your comments below. We'll have another Cup of Tea during the international break, I'm sure, once everything's calmed down a little bit, and there might be news coming out of West Ham. We say we're not here to panic, but the board must have squeaky bum already, and the board must be a bit worrying, if you like. And subscribe if you're new to the channel. We've got a quiz coming up later this week where I ask Gonzo 8 questions. Tune in to find out how he does that, and join in as well if you know your stats. If you don't, you can guess quite a lot of the questions though. You can take a while.
I did.
Yeah, but I say that's the one you got right. But anyway, we'll see you soon. Thank you for joining us.